Hello, this is Edith Newmeyer, and I am the author of the book, The Mystery of Adam. Today I'm going to continue with my little section on the third temple. And I'm going to talk about Revelations 11 today. And I'm going to see if I can figure out what temple is that's Revelation talk about, John talk about. I have talked about the temple of God in several of my videos. And I have said that especially Paul did preach and teach that the temple of God is the church. Okay. I have also given you prophecy that actually it was not David, but was Nathan, the prophet Nathan, was prophesying, was telling David that one of his descendants will build the temple. And it's very clear when you read that in, I believe it's Deuteronomy. No, not Deuteronomy, of course not. But Chronicles, either Chronicles or Kings. And I don't have it in my head right now where it is. But you can look it up. The prophet Nathan had to tell David that he's not going to build a temple, but a descendant will build a temple. And of course, David assumed it was Solomon that was going to build the temple. But God was speaking clearly about the Messiah. And unfortunately, David didn't get it. And so Solomon went ahead and built a physical building anyways. That was considered the first temple. Okay? And again, God went along with it. He went along with it, but it was not the temple that he had in mind. It was not his temple. Okay? It was David's and Solomon's temple. And then that temple was destroyed by the Babylonians. And Israel was, not Israel, but the Jews were taken captive into the Babylonian captivity. And so they came back to rebuild the city. And they right away also started building the temple, rebuilding the temple. And again, during that time, God told Zechariah that really the branch will build the temple of God. So again, God is telling him, this is just a physical temple. This is not really the temple that I had in mind. Okay? And so they build it anyways. It's a small building, very small building. But again, Zechariah was told, no, Messiah or the branch will build the real temple. Okay? So then again, that small temple, though, after at that, was kind of enlarged by Herod the Great. And so that was the temple that was in existence during Jesus's time. Okay? Jesus clearly said to them, hey, this is the temple. My body is the temple. Okay? He said that I will tear down this temple and in 3 days I will, raise it up. Or tear down this temple in 3 days I will raise it up. And they thought he talked about the temple, the physical temple. But he was talking about his body. And then again, that temple was destroyed during the time of John and Paul. And when John wrote Revelation, I believe in 90 or something, 80, no, yeah, 80, he wrote about this temple. He was supposed to be measuring the temple of God in Revelation, and starting with verse 1. Now it's interesting that in Revelations 11, or in all of Revelation, when John talks about the temple of God, that temple is all the time, except this verse, this chapter 11. I'm not 100% sure yet. I want to represent it and really put it out there for discussion. But every section, every time that John is talking about the temple of God, it is in heaven. Now, here we are right now, and John at this time is on this earth. And I believe he's not in heaven this time. He's on the earth. He's on the island of Patmos. Okay? And he is writing Revelation. And while he is on Patmos, an angel comes to him with a little scroll. And that is written in Revelation 10 at the end. Then he says, I was given a reed like a measuring rod, and was told, go and measure the temple of God and the altar with its worshippers, but exclude the outer court. Do not measure it, because it has been given to the Gentiles. Now I will stop right there. And that's in the middle of verse 2. Okay? Why? Because I believe this next sentence is not necessarily connected to this temple. Okay? The next sentence says, they will trample on the holy city for 42 months. Okay? That does not mean that this is in any way connected to the previous verses. Okay? They will, referring of course to the Gentiles. But it doesn't say, and they will trample the holy city for 42 months. Okay? So there is not a connection between this temple that he's supposed to measure and the Gentiles trampling the holy city for 42 months. Now we know that that happened. Okay? For now, since the temple's destruction, the holy city, Jerusalem, was trampled by Gentiles. Okay? I mean, the second temple, what they call the second temple, or the temple of Herod, was utterly destroyed, and there was not one stone left above the other. We have eyewitnesses, and one of them is Josephus, who says that there was not one stone left on top of another. And there's another guy, and I don't remember his name, but he was visiting Jerusalem, I don't know, 700 years later, and he said the very same thing. They all said that this, what we call today the Temple Mount, was left over, but that used to be the place of Fort Antonia. Okay, and they continue to build on this Fort Antonia. All the people, like the Crusaders, the Muslims, they all build on that Temple Mount where the Fort Antonia used to stand. Now, remember, Fort Antonia was not destroyed by the Romans. The Romans only destroyed David's city and the temple. Okay? That's what the Romans destroyed. Fort Antonia, after the destruction, was totally intact and stayed intact for a long time. Okay? It continued to be a Roman fort in many years, to follow. Because, see, they still had Jews living there, and they still had Jews rebelling in Judah. And so they had, the Roman fort still there. So that wasn't destroyed, and it probably existed long into, past the Roman times, into the Christian time, which went then into the Muslim time, or back and forth even sometimes. So they knew where that fort was, and they knew that the temple was utterly destroyed. There was not one stone on top of the other. Okay, so people built on top, okay, of the rubble. They may have used stones even from the temple and built something else. All these stones were used all over, probably most likely all over town. So now, God says, or the angel says, or somebody is giving John this reed or this measuring rod, and he was told, "Go and measure the temple of God and the altar with its worshippers, but exclude the outer court and do not measure it, because it was given to the Gentiles." So my question is now, and nobody um, ever said anything about that they were looking forward for that temple to be rebuilt. I totally believe, with Paul's teaching that we are the temple. I believe the Christians, even the Jewish believers, got that. I believe there's even a hint in Hebrews that that temple is not needed anymore. That a temple is just symbolic, and you can check into that too. That Hebrews, during Hebrew time, the temple was still standing, but we are getting the idea that that is only symbolic and that's not the real temple. Okay, so during the time of John, which was 90, okay, long time after the church was started. Now, did John see this new temple rebuilt and people worshiping in it? Even though I know John believed that God's temple is the church, would he then, measure a rebuilt temple? That is my question. And I am not 100% at this point convinced that this is actually a physical building and that God actually allowed a physical building and was really, convinced and happy about a physical building. He never was happy with a physical building, never. He always complained, I don't need, where's my, why would I need, he keeps saying, why would I need a place? Why would I need a house? And so why now would God agree with a temple that is made out of stones? I just don't believe that. Now, it is possible that there is going to be a house again when Jesus comes back. But whether that is called a temple of God is another story, especially the city. Okay, when we talk about the city, of the holy city, for instance, okay, they will trample on the holy city for 42 months. Even that holy city has a spiritual meaning. We're talking about the New Jerusalem is the holy city. Okay, And we see at the end of Revelation that holy city coming down from heaven. Okay? So again, that holy city includes all believers. Okay? All believers. And so that holy city will come down with Jesus. And it is made up of all believers. So holy city and temple of God could be the same thing. Okay? It could be the same thing. So I'm looking at this more in a symbolic term. Is it the temple of God in heaven? Or is it talking about the temple, the church? And is it possible that it could be a physical temple? Again, I have said that if there were a physical temple, a third physical temple, that would be the abomination. That would be an abomination of desolation. It is. It cannot. Nobody can call it the temple of God. When that temple is built, there is nothing. God will not look favorable to that building. And I cannot imagine that he would be um, accepting that building as his temple. That's probably what it is. He will not accept that building as his temple, especially because we know that he said twice, once to David and once to Zechariah, that I'm going, or Messiah will build the temple. Okay? Messiah will build the temple. So, my question is again, please do your research. If you come up with anything, I will pray about this still. This is something that I want to leave open. Okay? I believe it's very unlikely that this is the third temple. Okay? I just cannot see it. I just cannot see it at all, that would be the third temple. But anybody has any ideas, please let me know. I'm going to be open, and I'm going to be open to doing more research about it and maybe find out what God has to say to me. But yeah, I don't really think it is that physical temple. Now, again, we have been really brainwashed, and I don't know how long that has been going on, okay? Human beings are not, they don't live very long, and history is pretty long. And, since Jesus was here the last time, 2,000 years is pretty long. We don't live very long. And so we forget about history. We not only forget about history, we also are lied to, very strongly lied to. I just did some research after my last video about and I put in on YouTube the crimes of the Catholic Church. And it was, and I have done a lot of research. I have read a lot of books about the history of the Roman Catholic Church and the Inquisition. And I just thought, oh, I'm gonna look some things up. And so YouTube has so many resources. And so I just typed in the crimes of the Catholic Church. And I learned even more about the Catholic Church that makes me absolutely believe that this beast out of the sea is the Roman Catholic Church. There is no doubt in my mind. If you look at the history of the Roman Catholic Church, there is no doubt. I mean, I cannot even understand if anybody would still have any doubt that is the son of perdition, or the lawless one. Okay, you just have to do the investigation. You have to do the research. And so what I'm trying to say is, so much has happened in history for the past 2,000 years, and we have been told so many lies, so many lies. And I believe one of these lies is the temple, the third temple. Um, we have been told these lies, of course, by the Zionist Jews and by the Christians. Okay, I don't know, maybe I should call them Zionist Christians. Yeah. So in other words, the Christians that are supporting Zionism. It's very possible that that exists. So yeah, there is probably lots of Christians that are supporting the Zionists. And so they have come, and I'm saying that I don't know that 100%, but maybe that's something you can even look into, and I will actually keep my eyes and ears and pray about it too, that maybe this idea about the third temple has actually come up from the Zionists or from Judaism. Because, see, Judaism still doesn't believe about that Jesus was their Messiah. They still reject him. They still are very hostile against Christians and against Jesus. Okay? So they want their own religion to continue. And in order for their own religion to continue, they have to rebuild the temple. And they have to reinstate all the sacrifices. But my question is, how long are they going to do that? How long? I mean, God clearly showed them that they're supposed to be waiting for Messiah. And I know that some Orthodox groups, they believe in that. They absolutely believe that only Messiah can rebuild the temple. Okay? They believe that. Orthodox, there's many Orthodox groups that believe that only Messiah can rebuild the temple. And these people also are waiting for Messiah to come. So they're waiting right now for Messiah. Okay? So I don't know. This is my big question. How much have we been told false lies and false teachings? We have been told so many lies, so many deceptions. And again, I said last time, that was Revelation, what was it again? Let's see, Revelation 13, right? Remember that verse that I read? The beast out of the sea. What does the beast out of the sea do? Deceive. Here it is. 14, verse 14. So it's Revelation 13:14. Because of the signs, it was given power to perform on behalf of the first beast. It deceived the inhabitants of the earth. Okay? So this second beast out of the earth, which I believe is the United States, will deceive the people. Remember I said that last time. It will deceive the people. And we have been deceived. Remember, the Antichrist spirit has been around for a long time. I have shown that in one of my videos. I've shown clearly that this Antichrist spirit has been around at least since David, or even before. Okay? Even before. There was that Antichrist spirit around. And there's not just this only one Antichrist spirit. And so that Antichrist spirit's goal is to deceive people. Okay? Deceive people. And right now, This beast out of the earth is in the business of deceiving. Also, the beast, of course, out of the sea is in the business of deceiving. What? We're being deceived. He, the true beast, does not want anybody to know that he is the beast. Nobody. So what do? They make all kinds of things, teachings, and so to mislead the believers. Okay? And I believe one of these things is the third temple. This whole hoopla around that third temple. Okay? It is nothing but a distraction. It is distracting even the believers, even distracting the believers from focusing on Jesus' return. Okay? Jesus' return. I am telling you right now, if that temple will be built, okay, if that temple will be built, it is an abomination. And I'm going to warn people, if you are a believer, run to the hills. Don't go in it and check it out and think it's cool and all that and support, the Jews that are doing this kinds of things. Stay away and run for the hills. Okay, that's all I'm going to say to that one. Okay, because that is it. It is not going, if it would ever be rebuilt, it is not a good sign. It is a very bad sign, and definitely it will be a sign that the end is near. And it's not considered God's temple anymore at that time. They may say it's God's temple, but God does not want to have anything to do with it. Nothing. Because he has already in Jesus Christ fulfilled all the sacrifices. Okay? And right now, Jesus is the high priest according to the order of Melchizedek. He is going to be king and priest. Okay? In the temple. King and priest in the temple. Remember, that's what Zechariah said. He will be king and priest in the temple. When they built that temple, they will also have fake priests in that temple again. Okay, I'm sure they're not going to say, oh, Jesus is, or keep it empty until the Messiah comes. I don't believe so. Okay, because they don't believe in Messiah. So I'm going to finish up today. Please let me know what you think, because I don't know. I don't know 100%. It is possible, that this building will be rebuilt. But again, it's not going to be the temple of God at this point. Okay? It's not going to be the temple, because the temple of God is right now being built already. Okay? And once the rapture happens, that building is going to be complete. If you want to be part of that temple, of God's temple, you're going to have to right now accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. And I'm saying Lord and Savior, okay? Because when you make him your Lord, his Lord, when you're following him, then you are also saved, because he has already done that, okay? So I will finish up for today, and please let me know what you think, and leave your comments, and pray about it, and let the Holy Spirit lead you to the right resources. I will see you soon.